All right, so how to file your taxes in Canada using TurboTax Online. So the scenario that I'm going to use in this video is someone who has a T4 working resident of Quebec, has investments. So you'll have a T5008 in capital gains, RRSP contributions, worked from home as well in 2020, and had some tuition receipts. I'll leave timestamps below so you can skip to the section that concerns you. Also, use my affiliate link below to get 10% off TurboTax products. So let's get started. So once you reach the TurboTax website, simply create an account. Once you've created an account, then you can sign in. So I'm just going to sign in. So what's great about TurboTax Online is that you could do it anywhere on any computer as long as you have access to internet and you use the same username and password, of course. You could even do it on your phone. There's a mobile application for TurboTax Online. So the first page you see is the tax return manager. So if you've done more than one tax return, if you're doing tax returns for other people, you'll probably see the tax returns over here. So as you can see here, I have a few tax returns here, but these were just me testing a few things. So just ignore that. Now, if you want to start a brand new return, on the left side is where you would click start a new return. And then you've got some options here. You could do your own taxes. I'll do my taxes. You could request the help of an expert, or you can even have an expert prepare your taxes for you completely. So as you can see right now, there's 4 different products for TurboTax Online. One is free, one is standard, one is premier, and the other is self-employed. Now you could use any version to complete your tax return regardless how complex it is. The difference is the more expensive product will help you complete your tax return by bringing you directly to the pages that concern you. But if you take the free version, you can still do your complex return, but you're going to have to know where you're going, choose the right slips. You're gonna have to do a bit of your own navigation. So for this tutorial, I'm gonna use the free version right over here, just by clicking here. It then brings you to the carry forward section. So basically based on how you did your return last year, you can carry forward some or carry over some previous year's information. So if you use TurboTax Online, you'll click TurboTax Online. If you use the desktop version, you'll click here. So in this example, I'm just gonna click on I'm filing for the first time. Then I'll click continue. So then it asks me, who am I preparing the return for? So in this example, I'm just going to say myself. So my status is single, working, worked from home. I've got some tuition receipts. I've got RSP contributions, and I've got investments in capital gains, and I received a T5008. And if you want to see different scenarios, just leave them in the comment section below. I'll try to make a video covering that particular scenario. So I'll click myself here, and then it asks me for my name. I'll just write my name. So what's my marital status? Single. Did it change? No. In 2020. Do I have children or financially support another person? Yes or no. Click no. Continue. Now it's asking for the rest of my personal information. So simply fill in your personal information here. Are you filing for the first time? Yes or no. Now this is optional. If you have a net file access code, which you would have received on your notice of assessment of the previous year, you could enter it here. It's not mandatory. It just helps you identify yourself easily when you call CRA over the phone. So if you have it, you can enter it. If you don't have it, you don't need to. Are you a Canadian citizen? Yes or no. Do you want your information sent to the Register of Future Electors? Are you a Canadian Indian? Yes or no. So simply answer the questions based on your situation. Click continue. So as you can see till now, nothing complicated. So which province do you live in? So on December 31st, which province do you live in? That's important. So for this example, I'm just going to use Quebec. And did you move from any other province? Yes or no. Continue. Did your Canadian residency change in 2020? Yes or no. Here, you're just going to put your mailing address. Now, this is your mailing address. If you need to update your actual address, you'll have to do it online, not via the software. So just Google CRA account, click on CRA account, open an account if you don't already have one. Once you've created an account, they might have to send you a code by mail. So you have to wait 5 days to receive the code so you can log in. Once you log in, then you can actually update your banking information and update your address as well. So you're in the tax software. So in TurboTax Online, you're going to put in your mailing address over here, put your province, of course, and put your phone number. And then answer the question, did you change your mailing address this year? Click continue. Then you're going to answer some important CRA questions. Did you own or hold specific foreign property? Yes or no. Did you dispose of a property in 2020 that was your principal residence? Yes or no. Did you buy or sell cryptocurrency? So this question comes up specifically if you are a Quebec resident. For the rest of Canada, you might not see this question. Were you incarcerated in prison? No. Did you have a mental or physical impairment? No. Click continue. So you've got your personal info summary here just to verify, make sure everything's fine. If it is, then you click continue. Here you've got a page which tells you what's new to taxes this year. So you've got COVID-19 tax info, you've got employment benefits, you've got the work from home expenses, which is also new. You've got the Canada training credit, you've got digital news subscription tax credit, and then it'll give you information based on your province. So because I chose Quebec, it's telling me that the Rénovert refundable tax credit no longer exists, and the Quebec tax credit for caregivers has been revamped. Click continue. So here's giving me the option to speak to a TurboTax specialist for $11.99 per return. It's just an option. You don't have to take it. So if you don't want to take it, click continue. You want to stay on the free version, click continue on the free version. Don't add these items if you don't want to. Now, if you already have a CRA account, which I just showed, most of your slips will be available on your CRA account, and you can actually just link it to the tax software, and it automatically downloads that information for you, so you don't have to input it manually yourself. So simply log in if that's the case, put in your username and password, it links you to the website, and then simply download and extract the information. But I'm not going to use it in this tutorial. I'm just going to input the data myself. So there you go. Let's import your info. I'm skipping it because I'm going to enter the data myself. Click continue. See, now the difference between the free version and the paid versions is the paid versions would have asked me more questions to profile me, to know what exactly my situation was. And then it would lead me or bring me directly to the pages that concern me. So for example, it's going to ask me, did I work in 2020? Then it's going to automatically bring me a T4 slip to enter. Now I'm here on this page. I don't know what to do. I have to go enter the information myself. I have to go find the concerned slips. So I know I have a T4. So on the left side here, I've got the sections. So T4 is a T slip. So simply click on T slips. It is going to be under income. So if it's not showing initially, so I click on income, T slip. So that's the difference between the paid version and the free version, is I have to go look for it myself, but at least it's free. So T4, there you go. And since I'm in Quebec, I also have a Relevé 1. So I click on T4, and this is where I would enter my T4. Now here's what your T4 may look like. So box 14 is the employment income. Box 22 is the income tax that was deducted from your income while you were getting paid. So throughout the year, you weren't getting the gross amount, you're getting a net pay. And what's deducted is, a big portion of what's deducted is the income taxes. So this is what's already been, so this is what was already deducted from your pay throughout the year. And speaking of which, sometimes you wonder, why am I not getting a big refund? Well, someone else had more income or less income and got a bigger refund. Well, it depends how much taxes were deducted from your pay. If you're getting a refund most of the time, it's because you paid too much taxes during the year, so you're getting a portion of it back. But if you don't pay any taxes during the year, don't expect to get a big refund. If you notice, before you start a new job, they make you fill out some tax paperwork. Based on that information that you fill out, that's how much they'll deduct from your taxes. They use that information to know how much they'll deduct from your pay, so that you don't end up owing any money when you do your tax return. In some cases, because they don't know that you had other credits or other deductions that might allow you to pay less taxes. For example, you made RRSP contributions, you had children, you had tuition, you had medical expenses, you made donations. Whatever the case is, you might end up not having to have paid all that taxes throughout the year. So once you do your tax return, everything gets recalculated, and in that case, you'll get a refund if you deserve it. So simply enter the amounts that you see near each box here by clicking Add T4, choosing your province of employment. You could put the employer's name if you want. This is optional. It's not for the government. It's just for you to, if you have several T4s, for you to identify them easily when you're looking through your tax return. So employment income, box 14, I go back to my T4, see what's written under box 14, take that amount and simply just put it over here, and I just continue this way. Now the T4 should match your last paycheck that you received from your employer that shows your year-to-date amounts. Now in Quebec, your Relevé 1 might be different. The employment income under your Relevé 1 might be different from the employment income in your T4 or on your T4, mostly because of the employer's contribution to your health and dental insurance plan. So if you have a group health insurance plan with your employer and they're paying a portion, that'll be a difference in your relevé 1. It'll be added to your income on the relevé 1 because it's a taxable benefit. So now if I click save and enter relevé 1, most of the information should be copied over. But as you can see, now I get an error over here. It says, please indicate yes or no whether you will claim employment expenses for this income. So if you were working from home in 2020 because of COVID, most people will obviously have some employment expenses, home employment expenses. So if this is the income that relates to those home employment expenses, then you're going to come down here and click yes. So now I'm going to click save T4 and enter relevé 1. As you can see, the employment income is the same, but if I have to change it, then I would have to change it. And what's usually going to make the difference is this box here, private medical insurance plan. Let's say I've got an amount of $2,000 here. Just by looking at my relevé 1, then my employment income should be $74,000 and not $72,000. But all that will be written. You don't have to do any of the calculation. I'm just explaining. This is all going to be written. All you have to do is really copy your T4 and relevé 1 and just enter it in the boxes as you see here. So I'm going to click save and continue. There you go. There's my T4 and relevé 1. I'm going to click done with T4. And now it shows my income summary. So my net employment earnings, $72,000. I could also review my Quebec income summary if I wanted to. I'm going to click on continue. So right away you can see that it updates me automatically how much I owe or how much I'm getting. So it shows me here that my federal return is $640. I'm getting a refund of $640, but for Quebec I'm actually owing $10,000. Now the reason it's showing $10,000 is because I forgot to enter how much taxes were deducted from my paycheck on the Quebec side. So remember, on the T4, box 22 is the amount of taxes that I was deducted from my pay. But on the relevé 1, it's box E, which I didn't enter anything. So just for this example purposes, I'm just going to put 10,000. Now if I click on, so that basically means that throughout the year, $10,000 of Quebec taxes were deducted from my pay. So now if I click save and continue, you can see there's a big adjustment here. So now I'm getting a refund of $640 from the federal side, and Quebec side I'm getting, I still owe $521. Now if you're in any other province, you're not going to see it separated like that because Quebec is the only province where it's actually a separate return. We have to send 2 different returns, but in the rest of Canada, you're actually just sending 1 return federally, which includes provincial calculations. Okay, so now I'm going to click done, continue. And now it gives me an option again to see if I want to upgrade. If I don't want to upgrade, just click don't upgrade. Let's see if we can reduce your taxable income. So if you've made RRSP contributions, this is where you do it. Click continue. You have an RRSP optimizer if you want to use it. I'm just going to skip it. I'm going to go ahead and add my RRSP contributions. So I can go from here, or I could go on this side here, RRSP profile. Should be the same thing. So I simply just choose the situation that applies to me. So I made RRSP contributions during 2020 or the first 60 days of 2021. So if that's the case, check the box, click continue. And this is where I enter my deduction limit, which I can find on my notice of assessment of 2019. And if you have an account online with CRA, you can find it there as well. So if you log into your CRA account, this is where you would see your 2020 RSP deduction limit. So as you can see here, it says 14,982. So this is where I would indicate 14,982. So that's the max that I can contribute to my RSP in 2020. Click continue. And now I simply just mention where the RSP came from or where I made the RSP contribution. So if you made it at a bank or Questrade, for example, so I'll just put Questrade here. I think most of my viewers are Questrade users. And let's say I made it between January 1st and March 1st, 2021. Then I select that period and then I enter the contribution that I made. So I would have been allowed to make 14,000, but let's say I only made 10,000 contribution, then I just put 10,000 and then I click done with RSPs. If I have other contribution slips from different institutions, then I just click enter new RRSP. I'm done, so I'm going to click done. As you can see, my refund went up. So that's the advantage of making an RRSP contribution. Is that it gives you an income tax credit. Why? Because it actually deducts your income. So remember, throughout the year, you were taxed based on a certain income, but now as you're doing your income tax return, you made a $10,000 RSP contribution, so it reduces your taxable income by $10,000. So now you're only supposed to be taxed on $60,000 instead of $70,000. So definitely you paid too many taxes throughout the year if you're only supposed to be taxed on $60,000. And that's why right now you're getting a tax refund. So now I click on done with RSPs. It gives me an RSP optimizer if I want to look at it. Basically tells me the impact of my RSP contribution. Click continue, click continue, click continue. Now we're hitting the deduction side. So I'm just going to go off on a small tangent here. This is actually the income tax return that you're actually sending to the government. The tax software that you're using is just simply preparing that tax return for you when you're inputting your values. So you're getting your tax slips from your employer, from your school, whatever it is. You're entering it in the tax software, and the tax software is preparing the income tax return for you that's going to get sent to the government. So if you look at the income tax return quickly, I'm not going to go through every line, of course, but just a general broad overview. So you can see the first step is made of your total income. So the first line here, employment income, and you can see in brackets it says box 14 of all your T4 slips. So basically your income, the amount that you're entering from your T4 is going to go over here. So that's going to be your first line of income on your tax return. And you've got all types of different incomes here. So if it concerns you, then you're going to have an income next to it. So you've got RSP income, you've got employment insurance, you've got rental income, you've got self-employment income, social assistance payments. So all these are income. You simply fill out the tax return, and then that gives you your total income over here. And then you've got a section for net income, because between total income and net income, you might have deductions that will help decrease your total income. So your total income might be different from your net income depending on if there are deductions here that concern you. So you've got childcare expenses, you've got RSP deduction. So when you make an RSP contribution, it goes over here. So if my total income is 100K, I've made a $10,000 RSP contribution, my net income is now 90K. Once I have that 90K, I've got another section called taxable income. So going from my net income to my taxable income, I might have other things that might reduce my net income. So let's say I have nothing, then my taxable income will be the same. I'll have 90,000 of taxable income. And then comes this step here. This is the most important step here, federal tax. So this decides how much tax I'm supposed to be paying. So if my taxable income is 90,000, it shows that, as you can see, income taxes in Canada is progressive. It's not a fixed rate. So if I make 48,000 or less, then my tax bracket is 15%. But if I make more than 48,000, it doesn't mean that all my income gets a 20% tax rate. The first 48 is still going to be taxed at 15%. Whatever is extra, the additional amount between 48 and 97,000 gets taxed at 20.5%. So if I make over 214,000, it doesn't mean that I'm paying 33% on 214,000. It means that on the first 48,000 of my 214,000, I'm paying 15%. And then between the 48 and 97, so an extra 48,000, I'm paying 20%. And then any amount between 97 and 150, I'm paying 26% on that one, and so on. So it's progressive. So sometimes I hear people saying, oh, I don't want a salary increase, or I don't want to make extra money on the side or anything like that, because I'm going to fall on a higher tax bracket and I'm going to pay more taxes, and that's not worth it. But that's not true at all. You should never refuse extra income, because it's not going to make you pay more taxes. If you fall in another bracket, it's only that additional part, that additional income that falls in the other bracket, not your whole income. So please never refuse extra income or a salary increase just because you're afraid to fall in a higher tax bracket. There are times maybe a higher salary might not be beneficial, but that probably deserves its own video. But an example would be if you're getting child benefits from the government and your net income is above a certain bracket, then maybe your child benefits decrease. So maybe you're saying, oh, it's not worth the extra work because it's going to reduce my child benefits. But generally speaking, don't be afraid of extra income thinking that you're going to be paying more taxes. You're only going to be paying more taxes on the extra portion that is over that bracket. Once I finish my tax return with TurboTax, I'm going to show you the tax return, what it looks like. So once I have my tax amount that I'm supposed to pay on 90,000, I then have my non-refundable tax credits. So you've got some non-refundable tax credits and you've got some refundable tax credits. Basically, the non-refundable tax credits only apply against tax owing. So you have to have tax owing here in order for your non-refundable to have a value. Your non-refundable tax credit will go against your tax payable, your tax owing over here. But if you don't have any tax owing, then your non-refundable tax credit don't give you anything. And basically your non-refundable tax credit will go reduce your tax payable, but it stops as soon as your tax payable is 0. While your refundable tax credits does not go against your tax payable. You could still get a refund even if you don't owe taxes in the case of a refundable tax credit. So an example of a refundable tax credit is the climate action incentive. As soon as you open your return, you already have that refund for you, regardless of what you've entered in your tax return. All right, so going back to the TurboTax tutorial. So now I'm in the deduction section. So I know that I have home employment expenses because I worked from home in 2020 due to COVID. So this is under the deduction section. So if it doesn't come up automatically, see now it skipped the deductions and went to provincial. So that's the difference between the free version and the paid version, is that I have to go find it myself. So employment expenses will actually be under income. So I click on employment expenses and basically start the process. So did I have employment expenses? Click yes. So most people worked from home in 2020 because of COVID. So it was a new thing. They will have received the T2200S from their employer. So if that's the case, you can click here and then simply answer the question. Were you required to work from home at least 50% of the time for a period of 4 consecutive weeks or more in 2020? Yes. Were you required to pay for expenses related to your home workspace that weren't fully reimbursed by your employer? Answer yes, even if you were partially reimbursed. So click yes, click continue. Now, with the simplified method, you have 2 ways of calculating your employment expenses. So the easiest way is the flat rate method. So basically the flat rate method is you're allowed to claim $2 for each day that you worked at home, up to a maximum of $400. So basically a maximum of 200 days. If you work more than 200 days from home, you're still getting a maximum of $400. But this $400 is a deduction to your income. So this $400 will fall, that $400 will fall on this line over here and will therefore reduce your net income. So you've just reduced your net income by an additional $400. And if you've reduced your net income by $400, you've reduced your taxable income by $400. And therefore, you're going to be paying taxes on $400 less of income. So you basically save the taxes on $400. That's what this means. So that's the flat rate method. It's the most common one. And if you did not receive the T2200S from your employer, you can use this flat rate method. But if you receive the T2200S from your employer, you could do the detailed method where you can use your actual home office expenses. So supplies, electricity, maintenance, home insurance, property taxes, well, it's only for commission income. So in the case of a salaried employee, you wouldn't be able to deduct property taxes, but you can deduct rent. So the simplest way would be to choose a flat rate method. But if you think you actually spent more than $400 on your home employment or home office expenses, then you can use the detailed method. And then you simply click on CRA expense calculator to get the exact numbers. So let's say your rent is $1,000 per month. So where's rent over here? So I'm going to put $1,000 per month times 12. So that's $12,000 for the year. And I don't know, let's say I had to pay internet. So I'm going to put it here. Let's say I paid $50 a month times 12. So that's $600. But I need to enter the amount that was used for work and not the amount that's used on a personal level. So that's where I'm going to use the CRA calculator. So I'll just click on the link over here, brings me here, and I just simply answer the questions. So am I using the temporary flat rate? No, I'm using this one here. Home office expenses you paid while working at home due to COVID-19. So I click on that. So what is your residence situation? Rent, own, or change your residence. So if I click on rent, and then I decide if I had a designated workspace at home or was I using a common shared space. So if I had a designated workspace, I'll click on designated workspace, and then I have to basically indicate the square footage that's used for my designated workspace compared to the total square footage of my home. So let's say I use square feet over here. Designated workspace in your home. So let's say, I don't know, I was using maybe 300 square feet for my office at home, but my total square feet at home is, let's say, 1,200. So now it's calculating a percentage that I can claim from my total expenses, total home expenses that I can use for employment. So I can put the period that I started working from home. So let's say it was the full year, January 1st and until the end of the year. So December 31st. Total rent that I paid, I had entered it before in TurboTax. I'm just going to enter it on the CRA website here. The reason I'm on the CRA website is to get the value that I should put here, employment use amount. So I'm going to enter 12,000 for rent. I could put electricity and internet. So I'm just going to put 600 just to make things simple. And other home expenses that include the workspace, I'm just going to put 0 here. You get the idea. I'm going to put 0 where it doesn't apply. If you had supplies, you enter supplies. If you don't, just put 0. So enter box 14 of your T4 slip. So 72,000. If you have a value here, box 44 of your T4, if you have a value, enter it. If you don't, just put 0. And box 20 as well, put 0. Click calculate your expenses. And there you go. Now it's telling me that I can claim $3,150. So that's the amount that I can put on line 12. So if I go back to my TurboTax software, I could put $3,150 over here. So in this case, the flat rate method, I was claiming $400, but in this case, I'll be able to claim $3,150. So that's going to be more beneficial for me. So once that's done, I can click continue, go to the GST HST rebate. If it applies to me, I enter the information here. If I don't, in most cases, it won't apply to you, then just click continue. As you can see, my refund went up. I believe I was at 3,800. Now I'm at 5,300. So just go through the steps if it concerns you. If it doesn't, skip it. So this is the same thing, but for Quebec residents. Since I'm a Quebec resident, I'm going to complete now. And I just have to answer the question. So did the employee's duties and employment contract require the employee to incur expenses to earn employment or to incur expenses related to working remotely? Yes. Did you only incur expenses related to working remotely during COVID-19? Click yes, continue. Then you simply answer these questions here. Was the employee required to maintain a home office due to COVID-19? Yes. Did the employee have to pay supplies? Yes. Did you or will you be reimbursed? No. Click continue. Click continue. So this is a form that the employer is going to give you anyway, so you just fill it out as written. Now, if you chose the flat rate method, you can skip this section completely. So if I go back here, if I had chosen the flat rate method, I can just skip this step completely. Remember, I chose the detailed method, so I have to fill this out. Click continue, continue, put the date of signature. That'll depend when the form was signed by your employer. And that's it. So I finished with the employment expenses. I finished with the RRSP contributions. I did my T4 and I entered my income. All right, so now we come to the famous T5008. So you received a T5008 from your broker or from Questrade, and it's full of lines. So let's look at an example of a T5008. So let's say you get a T5008 that looks like this. It's full of lines, and there's no way you're going to enter every line individually. So what you could do is, well, first of all, let me show you in the software, where is the T5008. So it's a T-slip. So you're going to click on T-slip under income. So T-slips, and you're going to find T5008. Click on it and you get your T5008. You're going to click enter new T5008. And then you're going to recognize these boxes that you see on your T5008. So you've got box 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21. So the important boxes are obviously box 20 and box 21. Book value or adjusted cost base, and then box 21 is proceeds of disposition. And then if we go back to the tax return, you've got it over here, 20 and 21. But you also have, so type of income, capital gain. So this is if you're going to claim it as capital gain, so it's only 50%. And then you've got box 15, which is code of securities. So if you've got several code of securities, so as you can see, this one seems to be all OPC, so option contracts. Sometimes you'll have shares, SHS, you'll have OPC options contracts, and sometimes something called PTI. So if you've got several different types of code of securities, then what you could do is group them. So how can you group them if you have a lot of lines? So what I use is I'll just Google PDF to Excel. And for example, first link over here, PDF to Excel converter. So I'm going to upload the PDF to this website. It's going to convert it to an Excel spreadsheet. And then I'm going to download the Excel spreadsheet, which is going to look like this. And then I'm just going to manipulate the spreadsheet so it's easier to calculate. So basically, I just use a sum if function, as you can see here. You could zoom in, just a basic sum if function, basically based on this column here, sum this column, group all the OPC together, group all the SHS together, and PTI if there are any, and then do the same thing for this column. So basically it's sum if C, column C, for all the OPCs, sum the G, column G. And then same thing here, but it's going to be SHS, and then same thing here is going to be PTI. So this will be for the adjusted cost base, and this will be for the proceeds of disposition. And then I just do a minus. This is just for me to know. But anyways, I'm going to enter these individually in the software. So I'm basically just going to enter the totals. So for example, if I go back to the software, I'm just going to write, for example, SHS over here. And then I'm going to go back to the Excel spreadsheet that I have. SHS was the second line. So I'm going to put 22,243 for adjusted cost base. So if I go back to the software, which will be cost or book value, so 22,243, and then proceeds of disposition, if I go back to the spreadsheet, is 23,317. So I'll go back to the software, 23,417, and basically that's it. If it's in USD or if it's in foreign currency, I make sure to enter this amount in Canadian. So that would be one entry. So then I will enter a new one. So this is just the Quebec one, but basically copies the same one, the same inputs as the T5008. So I'm going to go back, click enter new T5008. This time it'll be, for example, OPC, and then same thing. So I'll go back to my spreadsheet, and OPC, I have it at 39.35 and then 28.25. So I go back to my software. I already forgot 39.35, 28.25. 39.35, 28.25, for example. And that's it. And then I skip or enter, doesn't matter, done with it. And then I do the same thing for the third one, and that's it. So if I go to my income tax return and I go to my total income, I'm only going to have $500 added to this line here, taxable capital gains. So that, unfortunately, will go increase my income by $500. So my total income here will increase by $500. Now it's showing me my income summary. As you can see, net employment earnings, $72,000. There's my taxable capital gains, $500. Click continue. Now I know that I've entered what I needed to enter. I'm missing my tuition. So instead of clicking continue, I could go straight to the section that concerns me. So I know I'm looking for tuition, which should be a deduction. So if I go under deductions, I can find students. I click on students. I can click on student profile. And then I choose what concerns me. So basically I had tuition fees. So I simply click on tuition fees, click continue. I could enter my institution name. So let's say McGill. And if you want to hear a joke about McGill and Concordia, what do McGill students and Concordia students have in common? The answer is they both applied to McGill. All right, so I'm going to put my tuition fees, let's say $2,000. And I'm going to put the number of months I was part-time or full-time if it applies. So I basically take my T5202 slip and just enter the boxes like I entered the T4 slip. So I'm going to have the amount. This amount will come from my T2202 slip, and in the case of Quebec, my relevé 8. And I just simply enter the boxes as shown. And you could find these slips on your student portal usually. And let's say I was 4 months part-time, so I just enter 4 months. I could skip relevé 8, or I could click on enter relevé 8. And there's an amount in box A usually for relevé 8 if you were full-time or part-time. In this case, I'm just going to put 0, click done with relevé 8. But all you have to do in this case is just copy what's written on your slips. Done with tuition fees. Now, this is a new credit. If you have the Canada Training Credit, you'll find it on your 2019 Notice of Assessment. It's basically $250. It's a refundable credit. And you're eligible basically if you pay tuition to a recognized institution, but not to a recognized institution, but not a foreign institution. And if you're not sure, you can always just Google it, and it brings you to the CR Canada website. So it's a refundable tax credit. Starts off with $250, maximum lifetime of $5,000, accumulates every year. What is an eligible education institution? So university or college or other educational institution in Canada providing courses at a post-secondary level. So who is eligible? So you file a tax return for the year, resident in Canada, have a total of $10,000 or more of income from maternity and parental benefits, working income, have individual net income for the year that does not exceed the top of the third tax bracket in that year. But you don't need to know all these details, but it is available to you if you want to. So let's say you are eligible, then this is where you would enter the $250. And as you can see, your refund went up by $250 because it's a refundable tax credit. So do you want to claim it? Yes. Click continue. And now we basically entered all our slips. We know that we have nothing else to add. Now, the next section would be the provincial section. Depending on the province that you're in, there's always certain credits that might be available on the provincial side. So simply go through your provincial side. So this will be different, obviously, based on the province that you're resident in. So once you're done entering everything, you can click on review, see a summary of your return. If everything makes sense to you, then you can continue. You can go straight to warnings and errors. It will tell you if there's anything wrong with your return or anything you might have missed. So if it concerns you, you can review it. If not, you can click done with warnings. So warnings will not stop you from net filing your return or submitting your tax return, but an error will. And as you can see here, I've got an error. It says my social insurance number is invalid. That's because I just put anything just for this example. So once everything looks good, I have to verify my personal information. If it's all good, I certify, and then I could net file. So I can click on file right here, click on CRA online mail, answer the question, review my order. Now this is the free version, so I should not be paying. So I just simply click on continue, click on register, and there you go. It's free. I didn't have to pay. Click continue, click file my return, sign up if you want to sign up to online CRA. I definitely recommend it. Now I'm not going to net file because this is just an example, but once you're ready to net file, you simply click on net file and you should get a confirmation that it's been accepted. So now I just want to look at the return and show you what I mean. So I'm going to open the federal return just to view it. So remember, so now the tax software, I've used the tax software to prepare my tax return. Now this is my tax return. So let's look at my tax return. So remember, I entered a T4 of 72,000. So let's just go to the tax return right away. This is the condensed. So as you can see, it shows my employment income, 72,000. It shows my taxable capital gains, which was from my investments when I entered the T5008. And since capital gains are taxable at 50%, so I only get $500. So I only get half of it. That's added to my income. So now my total income is 72,500. But then I made a contribution to my RSP of 10,000. So there you see it over here. I've got a deduction for CPP or QPP enhanced contributions on employment income. And then I've got other employment expenses. So these were my home employment expenses for working from home due to COVID. So if I took the flat rate, I would have only $400 here. But because I took the detailed method, I ended up having $3,750 of employment expenses due to working from home. So all these deductions, all these expenses, all these deductions brought my total income from 72,000 to 58,586. So now my net income is 58,586. And my taxable income, nothing happened in between the net income and the taxable income. So now my taxable income is 58,586. So throughout the year, I was getting taxed as if I was making 72,000, but I was only making 58,000. I should have been paying taxes on only 58,000. So definitely I'm going to be getting a return. Definitely I'm going to be getting a refund in that case because my taxable income ended up being lower than my actual employment income. So my total payable is now 6,300. Where does this come from? This is basically my taxable income. It doesn't show on this return here. It doesn't show on this document here, but basically it's my taxable income based on my tax bracket. So let's say putting this in the tax bracket, I'd be paying, let's say $9,000. Well, I get my non-refundable tax credit, which comes from my basic personal amount, which everyone gets. I've got some CPP contributions, some employment insurance, some Canada employment amount, my tuition. If I had medical expenses, it would be here as well. So I've got 3,023 of non-refundable tax credits. So this only goes against my taxable tax owing. So if I was owing $9,000, then I can deduct 3,000 from 9,000. I'm left with $6,000 right over here. So 6,300 is what I'm supposed to be paying in taxes after removing my non-refundable tax credits. But now, based on my taxable income, I'm only supposed to be paying 6,300. But I already paid 8,400 throughout the year. It was deducted from my pay. 8,400 was deducted. So that's gonna go. So right away you can see that I'm gonna be getting a refund because I was only supposed to pay 6,300. I paid already 84. So 84 minus 63, I'm getting a refund of that amount. Plus, I'm getting a refundable Quebec abatement because I live in Quebec. So CRA gives a portion back, knowing that you still have to pay Quebec taxes. I overpaid my employment insurance, so that's $2. I've got the $250, so that's a refundable tax credit from the Canada Training Credit. So that gives me my total credits now, $96.94. So the 8,400 plus the 1,000 plus the $2 plus the $250 gives me $96.84. So now 6,300 minus $96.94 gives me a negative $33.77, and that's why I'm getting a refund of $33.77. Now that's just on the federal side. But that's the idea, that's how it works. All right, so this was how to prepare your income taxes using TurboTax Online, using the free version. If you want a specific case, just leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to use the affiliate link below to get 10% off the TurboTax products. And if you have a decent refund that you want to invest and trade on the stock market with Questrade, don't forget to use my referral link below to get $50 in free trades. Also check out the other referral links below. Thanks for watching.